Having the option to convert a pocket knife from push button automatic into push button manual on the fly is what makes the Sharp RMX series so unique. But when it's in the manual action, there's a very specific way to deploy the blade. Because of that unique change on the fly, spring-loaded or manual action, that means that when it's in the manual format, the RMX will not open unless you depress the lock. Then it opens up, and then of course, when you're ready to close it, you depress the lock and it closes, meaning there's really no need for thumb studs, and you have to kind of get used to this push button, swing open, deployment, and close. And there's obviously enough RMX users out there that carry it in the manual format that Sharp decided a few months back to release a thumb-studded version of the drop point in M390, now allowing you to be able to deploy the blade and not have to depress the lock for it to come out, engage with thumb studs on either side, and then you depress the lock. And you can still open and close it that way as well, but they had only released it in the drop point until today, because they just released the 3V full flat grind reverse Tanto version of the RMX with thumb studs, ready to rock and roll for those of you who prefer to carry this knife in manual format, or you just haven't jumped on this design till now. What I want to do in this video is unpack all the nuances and differences between the auto and manual versions that come, or now just the thumb-studded manual version. Which model might make the most sense? I got some competitive options like Spyderco and even the Madrone that we're just going to unpack and just have a ton of fun today. If you're new to the channel, welcome. This is Gideonstactical. Let's dive in and talk some blades. Now, I've already had a few weeks of use with this blade since Sharp sent me a sample over a little bit early, and I know that these are gonna probably sell out pretty quick because Sharp usually does like batches, runs, so I will have a link over to the Sharp store. It's in the description box below as well. It's part of my affiliate program, so at any point in time, if any of these models make sense for you, they do have a lot in stock at the moment, but if you're watching this weeks or months later and you click on it and it's out of stock, just get on their mailing list and they'll be doing a drop, I'm sure, soon enough. Now, here's the deal. When it comes to these two models, because now having the drop point and the reverse Tanto, there are nuances in the differences, even though they are both very thin at about 0.08 on the maximum stock thickness. The drop point in M390 is a high saber or flat grind, whereas this is a full flat, making the 3V variant probably like one of the sliciest blades you're gonna own. I mean, when we look at it compared to a Spyderco Paramilitary 2, it's actually very close in overall profile when you match up like the edges, the choil, the engagement points on the handle. They're very, very, very close. So you're getting a size that is very familiar to a lot of people, being about 3 1/4 overall blade length and 3 inches of cutting edge. But the maximum thickness on a Spyderco Para 2 is going to be 0.14. And again, this is 0.08 according to my caliper back there where it engages with the handle. So, I mean, that just makes for extreme thinness and excellent 15-degree on each side geometry. So you pair that with the 3V steel, and I'm really glad that they chose 3V and they're doing a claimed HRC of 60 to 62 on this 3V, because 3V is one of the toughest steels around. So when you have that type of toughness, it allows you to change and thin out blade stocks, thin out edge geometry, because you're going to have more durability. It's not going to be as likely to either chip or be brittle. And so they paired a very good steel with a very precise blade geometry. So if you like having your pocket knives be very slicey, very precise, the tip, because of that reverse Tanto, acts a lot like a utility knife, like a scalpel, in that sense of having very precise pull cuts, pulling away from material. You're gonna notice that a lot if you work with the tips of your tools a lot, not as a crowbar, but, you know, like like cutting really precise things, maybe getting like a splinter out, you know, I mean, that level of precision is what the 3V variant of the RMX, regardless if you go with the combo setup or this new manual thumb stud version, either one is going to do that. But leave a comment below. I'd love to know what you guys think between the 3V and the M390 steel. Which one do you gravitate to more on a pocket knife specifically? And then which blade shape and kind of profile? Now, with that said, there is a slight difference also just in blade shape, which is just ultra cool, is the manual version along with that bolt-on removable thumb stud, which is so cool. You know, you have this kind of angled, ribbed, it's very, very easy to engage right or left-handed, but you get this kind of fuller cutout right here. Just makes it look cool. It gives it an aesthetic profile that the original is not going to give you. The original just can't quite give the style that little, I don't know what we want to call it. I'm just going to say it like aesthetic cutout, but then it also just gives you like an extra kind of finger flip action there to be able to do like a reverse flip. Now this is a completely ambidextrous blade because of the pocket clip is rotatable. And then you have the singular integral magnesium handle. Flow through construction under 3 ounces. It's like 2.4 ounces, I believe, for the knife. But I got full real estate. You know, I'm not forced into that choil, but I can use the choil if necessary. And I can still operate, and I usually do, operate the blade without engaging with the choil, and it feels fine. You know, it feels totally organic and normal for me to do that. Now, they source these blades globally from all over the world to go to the different places, like who's doing the best Bowler M390, who's doing the best 3V, who can do, you know, integral magnesium handles, you know, do all that. Cerakote is done locally in Oregon, I believe, and all that stuff, and then they assemble it in the Oregon facility. So it's assembled by American workforce and then sourced from around the world from different locations to get the best parts, which makes sense, right? I mean, why would you go to some country that's doing subpar work just to say you can get it from a certain country if you know this other country is sourcing better performance in that particular area or has a speciality that necessarily you can't find anywhere else. So awesome to see that. And now I basically just keep one version in auto and then have the other in the manual format. And then I don't have to concern myself with the push button action. Now, again, to revisit super fast, the original RMX comes set up in the manual format, so it's able to be shipped everywhere. And then you get the tools and the mechanism, no charge. It comes in the kit to be able to, within like 2 or 3 minutes, and there's videos on it on the Worksharp site, making it very easy. You can swap it into a push button auto and then revert it back. So you have the ability to kind of do that depending on your preference, but you are going to have to, in the manual format, push the button to deploy. And that was always something that some people didn't enjoy, and that's why these now exist, and they only come with the manual setup. So if you get the manual version with the thumb studs, they're not going to come with that spring action in there and do all that. Okay, so just be aware of that. Know that you're not, don't be shocked if it shows up and there's no, you know, spring action to modify with the manual version. That's the whole point. And it operates in a different way because of the way you have to have the action work if you're going to put a, you know, manual or an automatic spring in there. So we saw how it, you know, sizes up. They go for about 150 bucks. Wild that you can get all of this, you know, for that cost, and that they're not jacking up the prices. So many other companies are like, even if it's the same model and they just change a little variant, it's like, oh, sorry. And part of that is just things are going up and up in price. But what would be like the next step for Worksharp? Well, obviously at some point to see the Madrone in a push button manual. I'm sure it's on the horizon. If not, Worksharp, get to it. Give us a push button, or give us a manual thumb studded version of the Madrone. Now, if you're contemplating between the two, the Madrone, they brought some more stuff in-house, and the handle is aluminum. It's an integral aluminum handle, slightly different clip point, and currently only in a M390 steel. So that is something, but that also has the conversion to manual or push button auto, and then again, it's going to operate the same way, though. It's locked, and then you would push the button to release if you have it in the manual format, or how I've converted it over to the push button auto. So lots going on over there at Worksharp, obviously. And I don't know where they go from here, honestly, but it seems like every couple months there's either a new design or there is a redux with added features or capabilities for different markets, different people and their preferences. And so I can't wait to see like whatever the new design after, I'm sure. Come on, let's get real. I know, we know thumb studs are coming on this. Come on, we know. But it'll be really cool to see in coming years what WorkSharp brings to the table, because now having several different variants with different handle materials, but also, or excuse me, different handle styles, but also now manual or automatic. I mean, it's awesome. It's freaking awesome. So leave comments below, guys, if you have questions, and I appreciate you guys hanging with me today. And if you already own an RMX, just what is your take on this very unique, and I would argue revolutionary design that we've never really seen from anyone prior to WorkSharp releasing it? Till next time, check out the other videos, subscribe, and always remember, stay equipped, stay prepared. I'll see you out there.